What is cinema etiquette? Well, personally, cinema etiquette is known as the unwritten social rules for moviegoers, ensuring a pleasant experience for everyone by minimising distractions like phone use, loud talking, or rustling food, focusing on being quiet, respectful of other people's spaces, arriving on time, cleaning up, and treating the shared space as a community experience rather than a private viewing. Sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? Sounds pretty easy to do. Unfortunately, lately, that's just getting worse. So let me paint you a picture, let's tell you a story. The year is 2025. It's a Friday, and you've decided that on the drive home that you want to treat your wife to a night out on the town, starting with a beautiful meal, followed by a trip to your local cinema. Sounds perfect. Well, so it should. So after you arrive at your favourite restaurant, order the same thing off the menu for the 100th time. Not only that, warding her away from stealing all your chips because she chose a salad, you and the missus start to discuss what film you should see. By strolling down your local theatre showtimes, there becomes a deep discussion on what options are available. Here, there begins a lengthy conversation of disagreements until you both find one that is suitable, aka F1 the movie. Why? Because you like high adrenaline racing and a feel-good movie, and she likes Brad Pitt and has thoughts about him making her feel good in a different sort of way.
Oh, behave. Yeah.
So as you exit off the escalator, hand in hand, you head towards the ticket booth to purchase the 7:30 showing. Also, because it's a special night, you decide to treat yourselves and buy a bucket of caramelised popcorn and a packet of them sharing Maltesers. And then you try to play it cool, and as you pay the eye-watering price at the kiosk. Making sure your bladders are empty and nothing else can disrupt your evening, you head to screen 6 where you take to your seats and settle in. During your wait, you whisper to one another for multiple subjects, the odd couple, or friends wander in looking down at the floor trying to find the correct row of chairs. They too whisper and politely converse in conversation in the darkness. 5 minutes later, the lights drop down, the opening introduction, that is Showcase Cinemas, blares an eruption of music and bright visuals. Checking your watch, you are already aware that you have about half an hour before the actual film. First, the adverts for cars, holidays, and watches, of which none of you can actually afford, followed by the trailers for this year and next. You lean down to alter your phone brightness and make sure it is on silent and safely tucked away out of sight. But then, in the silence of the film card, you hear the door below the balcony open, and several voices giggling and whispering loudly enter. Your heart stops. 4 young teens stare up into the scattered audience, pointing out where to sit as another argues back that over there is better. Their girlfriends stumble blindly up the staircase like drunks being kicked out of a local club at 1 AM. Eventually, they decide on a place to sit, and yet it still takes them ages to make their minds up of who's sitting where. One of the girls sits deliberately on her boyfriend's lap before he throws her off and popcorn flies everywhere. Now she's pissed at him, they argue before she moves several seats away from him and opens up her phone. On full brightness. All the time you can't seem to concentrate on the film at hand, your wife is gripping your hand tightly, knowing how infuriating you are becoming by this. Because a trip to the cinema in your eyes is a very special and lately rare thing. It suddenly comes to your attention that you have missed the first 5 minutes of the movie. A man and his wife who are sitting 3 rows back calls them out and asks them, very politely, just to pipe down. The girls laugh, throwing the V's, and the boys turn to look back and act hard, shouting out abuse. The realisation that you could have just stayed home, ordered in a pizza, and watched something on Netflix or Amazon in the comfort of your own sofa hits you hard in the gut. The boys start slinging popcorn across the room at the couple behind, forcing them to leave and make a complaint. Seconds later, a member of staff arrives at the bottom of the screen to observe the behaviour, only to turn around and ignore the situation without really tackling the issue. Both girlfriends end up sitting several seats away together, flicking through Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat and TikTok, laughing out loud at stupid videos at a high rate. Unaware of this, sitting 2 rows behind you are an older couple who spent most of the time discussing a previous Brad Pitt outing that they had seen about some sort of club that he was a part of, only to navigate through every other film in his back catalogue, leaving you gritting your teeth and wanting to scream out to them, it was fucking Fight Club. Then, a man in his mid-30s gets a call of a call on his phone, and the ringtone kills the mood during a racing scene, and due to the immense soundtrack and echoing around the auditorium, he could easily just step outside to answer, but instead answers abruptly and talks over the current events of the film. Not taking any more, you take your wife by the hand and lead her down the stairs out of the cinema through gritted teeth. You both agree that this will be the last time you ever step foot in a cinema ever again, and there will always be something to watch at home. You arrive home, emotionally exhausted, disappointed, fed up, and poorer. And despite trying to act positive and say that meal was nice at least, deep down you both know it was a failure of an evening, thanks to the disrespectful people. You know, ever since the aftermath that started within 2020, I myself have noticed a change in cinema etiquette. In other words, there basically isn't any. Every showing I have ever attended since at least one or two separate groups who can't keep away from their phones or refrain from talking out loud, and have no spatial awareness nor respect. As crazy as it sounds, it wouldn't surprise me if these people were being paid by streaming services to go and wreak havoc in every screening possible in order to convert people to stay at home instead. See, cinemas were and are a fantastic place to immerse yourself in stories and visuals and practical effects, to become pulled into a story that can make you laugh, scream white-knuckled or in your seat, or even cry. It's an escape from the world you survive in and day out, a place to lose yourself and forget all your problems, and have a bit of fun. I honestly fear that cinema etiquette is becoming a thing of the past. It's slowly dying under the weight of high ticket prices, disrespectful audience members, and even streaming services. We have become so oversaturated that choice that you don't appreciate what you have in front of you. You can even spend an entire evening scrolling through countless TV and film titles, not being anything, and cinemas aren't cheap anymore. So technically, some of these are happy to pay a fee to sit down on foldable chairs in the dark and talk for 2 hours when you could do that anywhere else. Now, there are two different things that should be on opposite ends of the spectrum. So next time, please sit down and don't be a dick. Until next time, if you like what you see, you know what to do.